whether the team is performing clean or unsightly. We'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, here we are. Day before Week 15 matchup versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Game was postponed from Sunday to Tuesday in order to give Washington an opportunity to better acclimate themselves. And they weren't alone. The Browns game was postponed from Saturday to Monday. And the Rams-Seahawks game was postponed from Sunday to Tuesday as well, in addition to this Washington game. So there have been multiple teams around the league affected by COVID-19. We think it's a variant. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Nobody cares why or what it is. They just care about the fact that their schedule has been impacted. And I talked about this, last year, when COVID was going on, and I was a big proponent of, if a team can't follow the protocols and for some reason they have an outbreak like the Titans did, like the Ravens did last year, then that team should be penalized, not anybody else. No one else's schedule needs to be, turned topsy-turvy because this team didn't follow the rules. I still feel that way. Nothing has changed. I still feel that way. However, this wasn't like the situations last year. And you could say, well, you're just saying that because your team's the one impacted. No, we were impacted last year. We had to alter our schedule. We were the Eagles last year. They're bitching and complaining about them not doing anything wrong and because we've done something wrong, which that's the problem I have with this whole discussion, is that we don't know if anyone's done anything wrong. The guys that have been impacted were vaccinated, so we could go down a rabbit hole. The bottom line is, Washington is going to get some of its players back. The Eagles, conversely, they're losing a couple of their players. They just lost their tackle today, Andre Dillard. Again, don't know how significant of a role he's playing these days, but if memory serves me correct, he's their starting left tackle. And they're also going to be without their starting right guard. So Landon Dickinson, who just tested positive and is going to be on the reserve COVID list. So they could also be upset about that as well. And they have every right to be upset. I'm not here to chastise Eagles fans for being upset or the players on that Eagles roster for being upset. In their minds, they've done nothing wrong, but I'm not an Eagles fan, so I don't really care how they feel, okay? We've been there before. We dealt with this last year. Our schedule was altered. We did nothing wrong. We had to play a game on a Monday. And then had to turn around and go all the way out on the West Coast of the following week. So our short week, and then you got to go all the way to the West Coast to play the 49ers. And our offense was anemic that week, and it showed. Doesn't matter. Find a way to get it done. And that's where we are. And so the good news for Washington, all right, because there's good news and there's bad news. The good news is they're getting some players back. Jonathan Allen, officially back. I think he came back like 2 days ago. Montez Sweat and offensive tackle Sam Cosmi, both activated from IR. Okay, both of those guys were placed on IR. Both of them have been activated and are ready to go for tomorrow's game. Also activated from the COVID reserve list, defensive tackle Matt Ioannidis. So more help on the way. Okay, also activated Casey Toohill, James Smith-Williams, so the defensive line getting much healthier. Conversely, on the opposite side of that coin, the bad news is we're going to be without 7 staff members, including 3 impactful positional coaches. Sam Mills III, who I'm not the biggest fan of, still our defensive line coach. You still want him there on game days. He is out for COVID protocol reasons. So is Jennifer King, who is our assistant running backs coach. Or excuse me, so is Randy Jordan. And Jennifer King will be stepping in for Randy Jordan, who is our running backs coach. He's going to be out due to COVID. Also, wide receivers coach Drew Terrell, excuse me. He will be out. Drew Terrell, still trying to figure out how he says his last name. I still don't trust him. He's got 2 first names anyway. It doesn't matter. Either way, he's going to be out. Really like Drew anyway. So he's going to be out. And Haas is going to have to step in for him. So we've got coaches out now with COVID. Bunch of other assistants and guys that, have something to do with this team out with COVID. Ricky Seals-Jones just missed practice. The last time we had a guy miss practice because of illness, he ended up being on the COVID-19 list. So I'm not really 100% sure Ricky Seals-Jones is going to be able to go tomorrow night for the game, which we can't afford anymore. Injuries, COVID list, anything. We already down Sammy Reyes, and obviously Logan Thomas is done for the season. We can't afford, and Tamarick Hemingway is also on the COVID-19 list. We can't afford any more injuries to the tight end position. We just can ill afford. Right now, we only have two guys posing as tight ends, because one of them, Alex Arma, is really a fullback by trade, but he's a Swiss Army knife. He can play fullback, running back, or tight end. So right now we have him as a tight end. And that's only giving us two along with John Bates. So we really can ill afford Ricky Seals-Jones to not be able to go in this game. But that's where we are right now at the tight end position. But it's good to know that we're getting, a bunch of guys back. The defensive line kind of looks revamped and looks ready to go. Deron Payne was already there. Now it's Jonathan Allen adding to the mix. Now you're getting Montez Sweat back. Now you're getting Ioannidis back. Now you're getting, James Smith-Williams and Casey Toohill back to go along with Shaka Toney and maybe Nate Orchard if they keep him activated. It feels good to get that D-line starting to get back trending in the right direction. I feel like the defense is going to be just fine with those acquisitions added back into the mix. Now I think the questions start to turn to the offense. And really, the offense wasn't, the story. The real story was the defense. Well, Brandon Sheriff has now been placed on the COVID-19 list and is going to miss this football game. We were already down to our fourth-string center. It's good to know that Keith Ishmael is okay and going to be able to play. But now the question becomes, is Wes Schweitzer available? Is he on, I don't know what's going on with Wes Schweitzer. Is he on the COVID list? Is he still injured? Is Wes Schweitzer available? If he's available, then I'm okay. If he's not available, then it could get really ugly on the inside for us. And this is really not the game to not have Brandon Sheriff, because you're dealing with a defensive line that is fully capable of wrecking shop. So it's not a great situation to be in when you got Fletcher Cox. You got, the guy leading their team in sacks is a defensive tackle in Javon Hargrave. Like, this is not the week to be, parading out third and fourth string guards and centers and things of that nature. So we're at a distinct disadvantage, and it's going to be tough. Everything is stacked against us. Despite getting some of these guys back, the deck is heavily stacked against us and in the favor of the Eagles. And all they have to do is come out and play good football, and they should take care of business. That's what conventional wisdom says. But we'll see if that's what takes place or not. The bottom line is, we could talk about Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Matt Ioannidis, all these guys coming back, James Smith-Williams, and being added back to the mix. If we don't get one of these quarterbacks, and right now it seems more likely that it would be Kyle Allen than it would be Taylor Heineke. If we don't get one of those guys back, I don't think we stand a chance, okay? But let's just keep it a buck with one another. That's where this begins and ends. If we don't have one of those guys at quarterback, this thing is done. And this season, for all intents and purposes, is done. We have to beat the Eagles. That's where we're at. Because we didn't get it done last week against Dallas, because we started off the season 2-6 and decided to want to wait until November to play good football, now we've dug ourselves a hole. And even though we won 4 in a row and 4 out of our last 5, we're in a position now that if we don't win this game, more likely than not, our season's done. Because then you put yourself in a position where you got to win all 3 of your remaining games, one of which is on the road at Dallas, which is going to be tough in itself. And then you got to run the table against the Eagles and the Giants. That's not as daunting of a task as going to Dallas and winning. But at the end of the day, you much rather win this game. If you don't beat Dallas next week, fine. Which I still think we got a shot if we get some of these guys back healthy. But you much rather win this game, and then, if you don't get the Dallas game next week, fine. Especially with all the circumstances. You play on Tuesday, you got to turn around and travel to Dallas on a short week. It's going to be a pretty tough task, especially if we come out of this game banged, battered, and bruised. It's going to be a tough turnaround 5 days later to take on a Dallas Cowboys team that is well rested and ready to do battle. So I'd much rather get this one and then have to worry about beating the Eagles again at home in a couple of weeks and then finishing up the season against Jake Fromm and or Long Neck in the New York Giants, whomever they put at quarterback. I feel confident that we can get that done. So at the end of the day, the opportunity is still in front of us, but this is one that we have to have. And if we don't have one of those quarterbacks, I just don't see us getting it. So we can all, rejoice in some of these guys coming back, but I'm still waiting on some quarterback news. And if we don't get any early tomorrow, then I don't know how we find a way to win this football game. So that's where I pretty much stand right now. Is to have even a fighting chance, we need a quarterback, and that doesn't guarantee us anything. It just guarantees us a chance. You don't give us a quarterback. If we got to roll Garrett Gilbert out there, I don't trust him. He's got 2 first names. You know how that goes. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. But, the guy's literally been here a week. I mean, what are we talking about? Less than a week, probably. I think he got here like last Thursday. So, anyway, it's an uphill battle whether we have a quarterback or not. But you can make the climb with, with Kyle Allen or Taylor Heineke at quarterback. I don't think you can complete the mission if it's Kyle Shermer, Jordan Ta'amu, or Garrett Gilbert. And Gilbert of those 3 probably gives you the best chance to win. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to in other news. Take a quick look at the injury report here in a second. But I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but we're playing on Sunday Night Football next week. I tweeted about this last night. I'm watching the Buccaneers game, minding my business, and then they cut to the promo for next week's game, and voila, what do you know? There we are in prime time against those dirty, Dick Dastardly Dallas Cowboys. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't see that one coming, because I could see this happening, but I didn't think it was going to happen after we lost to Dallas last week. Had we beaten Dallas last week and we were riding a 5-game heater going into this Eagles game, and if we won, we'd be on a 6-game heater and 1 game back of Dallas, and that game could be for first place, then I could see that. But Dallas, they're literally a tie from Washington and Philadelphia tomorrow away from winning the division, clinching the division. So, if Philadelphia, one of us has to win the game. I don't see a tie happening. One of us has to win that game, and so Dallas can't clinch until next week at the earliest. I didn't see them putting us on primetime against Dallas in our current state, but here we are, and I'm excited about it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm anxious. In the past, I would have been like, oh, Lord, here we go again, but I'm not running away from the spotlight. We've done nothing but shine in these moments and take care of business. This is why I'm excited about this game on Tuesday. Even though it's not a primetime game, not everyone is going to get it. It's going to be in local markets. I'm still excited about it because these are the types of opportunities that we've taken advantage of since Ron Rivera has showed up. In these situations, when these opportunities have presented themselves, we've stepped up, rose to the occasion. No stage has been too bright, no lights or stage has been too big, no lights have been too bright, and we found ways to get it done in the most improbable of situations. So I'm looking forward to the game against the Eagles on Tuesday night. I'm looking forward to the game against the Cowboys the following week on Sunday night. And both of those are situations where you feel like they could be ultimately kamikaze missions where there's no way you're coming out of it alive with the dub. But we've been in situations like this before, and somehow, some way, we've pulled them out. So I like our chances. We'll see what happens. But we're on Sunday Night Football, guys. None of us asked for this, but I'm not turning it down. And as I said on socials, nothing better than Christmas dinner at somebody else's house. Why? Because you don't have to do any dishes. You can eat and run. So I'm looking to go to Dallas's house, disrespect them in their own house, just like they did us. And all we're doing is repaying them the favor that they brought to us, which is just utter total disrespect and disregard for our stuff at our house. They brought their own furniture. They came in, made themselves comfortable, and absolutely disrespected us in every sense of the word. Well, that's all I'm looking to do is repay the favor. Go to their house on Christmas, the day after Christmas. There's going to be some leftover Christmas dinner. Come in unannounced, Knock on the door. They look through the peephole, bust the door open, bust their lip in the process of knocking the door back. They fall on the ground. We walk in and we start rummaging and pillaging their kitchen and their pantry for whatever Christmas leftovers we so desire. That's what I'm looking to do. But before we can do that, we got to go warm up the bird in the oven. Let's take a look at the injury report for both teams. So for us, there's no surprises here. J.D. McKissic out again. I'm not surprised, and neither should you. He hasn't really practiced this entire week. He was still having sensitivity to light. He was not at practice for much of the week. We knew this was an issue. The concussion has actually been cleared. They're now terming this a neck injury. So there could be a little bit more complexity to this situation than just, oh, he's got a concussion. Now they're terming this to be a neck injury, that he's actually exited the protocol. And now it's his neck that's giving him problems. Whatever the case may be, for the third consecutive week, there will be no J.D. McKissic. Also, no Curtis Samuel. Never, ever trust a man with two first names. None of us are surprised about this development either. I told you, once we saw him show up on the injury report with another injury separate from the one that had caused him to miss the chunk of the season with the groin, we knew he wasn't going to play. So hamstrings are tricky, you know, and then you add to the fact this is a guy coming off of a groin injury, and I've already said this multiple times before the hamstring injury was sustained. Just shut the guy down. He hasn't been a factor all season long. He's probably not going to be a factor. He's never going to be totally right this year. At this point, just shut him down. At least you'll stop the speculation. You'll stop everyone from hoping and wishing. You'll stop everyone from wondering if he'll ever come back and have an impact. Just wait till next year. That's how I feel. But that's nor here nor there. He's out. Everybody else, I think, is going to play. Obviously, there are no, injury designations in terms of game status for Jordan Kay. He's back. Terry McLaurin is going to play. He's back. Cole Holcomb, he's going to play. No worries there. Obviously, Brandon Sheriff has been taken off the list because he's now on the COVID-19 reserve list. So he's no longer on the injury report. Ricky Seals-Jones with an illness. That worries me because, again, most of the time when a guy ends up on the, injury report from an illness of recent ilk with this team, they end up on the COVID-19 list, like Troy Apke and some of the other guys did. But Keith Ishmael was out with an illness, and he's back, and he's not on the game, injury list. So maybe, just maybe, Ricky Seals-Jones will be just fine by Tuesday night and ready to rock and roll. He'll make the trip with the team, and he'll be out there and able to help us at the tight end position. We will see. But no surprises there, and that looks good. That injury report looks actually pretty good for the good guys. As we transition to the Eagles, everybody's playing. And this is the part that stinks when you're playing a team coming off of a bye week, is that everybody gets to rest up, everybody gets to heal, and so they've got everybody. Anybody that had an ailment, a nick, a bruise, someone that was gutting through an injury that had been nagging since week 4, they got that week off. They feel great now, and everybody is ready to go. So we're not going to miss any of their big-time players due to injury. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the show, they got a couple of guys out on the offensive line with COVID-19, and Landon Dickinson, their right guard, and Andre Dillard, one of their tackles. But outside of that, they're coming ready, locked, stocked, and loaded, ready to go, try to handle business and get back to 500, as are we. And we're not going to get any breaks. You know what? I don't want any breaks. I don't want any excuses. So when we beat them, I don't want to hear, oh, man, we didn't have this guy or we didn't have that guy. You got everybody, okay? Yeah, you may be missing an offensive lineman or two. Well, get in line. We're missing way more players than you are. We won't hear anything from them. They think they're better than us, and they've got a chance to prove it. They need to win this game. There's no other way to say this. They're supposed to win this game. All, chips are stacked against us. Half of our coaching staff is out. We still got a number of players on the COVID-19 list. We don't know if we're going to have either one of our top 2 quarterbacks. And even if we do, these guys haven't practiced for pretty much the entire week. We're getting some guys back, but we're still missing a ton of guys. We got a bunch of guys due to injury out as well. There's no reason the Eagles shouldn't trample us in this game. But we'll see what happens. Quickly, I want to just go over the playoff situation. So the Saints winning last night was not good. Was not a good result for us. We needed the Buccaneers to take care of business, and they didn't. So now the Saints are 7-7. As you know, they beat us head-to-head already this season, which is why we don't want to finish tied with the New Orleans Saints when it's all said and done. So we need the Saints to lose some ball games. They have some very winnable games left on their schedule, and their defense is damn good, as you saw last night. But their offense is putrid. It stinks. And that gives me hope that they could show up any given week and score 6 points and lose a game 24-6. But that defense is good enough to keep them in every ball game and give them a chance to win. And if they can run the football, they're going to be tough to deal with the remaining schedule that they have. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is we just need to win ball games. I've said this from the outset. You want something done right, you got to do it yourself. You don't want to be relying on anybody else to do your dirty work for you. Just win football games, and everything will take care of itself. You lose games, and that's when you got to start scoreboard watching and looking up to see what other teams around the league are doing. Don't put yourself in that situation. Beat the Eagles on Tuesday. I don't care who's that quarterback. Find a way to win. It's improbable. It shouldn't happen, but stranger things. In an NFL season where the worst team in the league just beat one of the best teams record-wise in the league and didn't just beat them by a late second field. They trampled them, okay? In a season where a team like the Detroit Lions can beat up on the Arizona Cardinals 30-12. Why can't we find a way to go on the road in a hostile environment with half our team down due to injuries or COVID-19, half our staff down to COVID-19? Why can't and who God knows who's that quarterback? Why can't we find a way to go and win? I've seen stranger things happen this season. We'll see what happens. Again, highly unlikely, but why not? Why not us? I'm not saying. I'm just saying. But the Cowboys, this division, I'm thinking less about the division now. You know, we had our opportunity. We let that go by the wayside last week. So the division talk is over. You know, at this point now, it's about trying to get one of those 3 wild cards. And look, at this point, I was talking crazy. I wanted 5. Give me 6. Look, I just want 7 at this point. I just want in, right? Like the 49ers are winning ball games now. That win against Cincinnati a couple of weeks ago on the road, that told me San Francisco's serious. They're trying to make the postseason. They're not bullshitting. They're playing around, okay? They want in. So they're going to do what they need to do. So now really 6 spots are spoken for in the NFC. All right, spots 1 through 6, lock them up. Lock them up. Lock him up. They locked up. San Francisco's punching their ticket. They're getting in. So now I'm looking around and I'm saying, all right, there's about 4 teams vying for 1 spot. Philadelphia, Washington, Minnesota, New Orleans. You can throw Atlanta in there too. 5 teams, 1 spot. All right, game of musical chairs. There's 1 chair, 5 teams walking around, and when the music stops, 1 team's going to sit their ass in that chair, and everybody else is going to go home disappointed. Can we be the team when the music stops in front of the chair with an opportunity to sit down and get into the party when they shut the door, lock it, and mayhem ensues? Can we be inside that room? We'll see. This is a massive game, but the Cowboys are now 10-4. Nobody in this division is catching them because you would then need them to lose their remaining games on the schedule, every last one of them. We would have to beat them. Arizona would have to beat them, and then the Eagles in Week 17 would have to beat them. Again, that is highly unlikely at this point that they lose all 3 of those ball games. Not saying it can't happen. Highly unlikely, and then the team that's chasing them, whether it's Philadelphia or Washington, would then have to win all 3 of those games. With Washington and Philadelphia both having a game against Dallas, that's why the division, unless it's a tie, can't be determined yet because both teams still play Dallas once. So they both have an opportunity to finish with a better divisional mark than Dallas does because, again, you would need Dallas to lose their final 3 games, which means Dallas would end up with a mark of 4-2 in the division. Meanwhile, a team like Washington, we've only lost 1 game in the division. That was to Dallas. So if we clean the table, you know, and go 5-1 and finish with the same record as Dallas, and we split the season series, obviously we would have to do that to go 5-1 in the division and finish at 10-7, just like Dallas. If they were to lose their remaining 3 games, then we would win the division. But again, highly unlikely that those things transpire. We're just taking it 1 game at a time. Dallas is going to win this division. Can we just get the 7 seed? We needed the Saints to lose. They won. So I feel like the Steelers game all over again. Who thought that the Saints were going to Tampa with Taysom Hill at quarterback and no Sean Payton on the sidelines. Who thought they were going to Tampa and blanking the Buccaneers and winning that game? Raise your hand. I don't see any hands out there. And that's kind of how we felt last year. I remember sitting in this exact same seat and saying, well, the Giants wanted more than we do. They just went out and went to Seattle with Colt McCoy at quarterback in an improbable situation and found a way to beat the Seattle Seahawks. How in the hell did they manage to do that? Well, they're going to win the division now. And everybody said, well, we still can beat the Steelers. I'm like, we're not beating the Steelers. They're 11-0. And what did we do? We went on a Monday on the road to the undefeated Steelers, and we found a way to win the game. This is a similar situation. You know, we watched the Saints do a crazy, improbable thing that makes it seem like our situation is so daunting at this point. And now we have a chance to match them. We have a chance to go on the road in an improbable situation, half of our coaching staff out, half of the players on the roster out due to injury or COVID, and not knowing what quarterback's going to start and whether we'll get one of our top two, signal callers back or not. We'll have to start a guy that was here for less than a week and Garrett Gilbert more likely than not, with Kyle Shermer backing him up and Jordan Ta'amu backing him up. And we got to go into a game on the road against an Eagles team that's playing much better football, perfectly healthy, ready to go, coming off of a bye week, waiting on us, licking their chops, pissed off that they even had to postpone this game 2 days back. And so they are really upset. We got to go to Philadelphia and beat them for a chance to keep this playoff run alive. Or run at the playoffs, I should say. Alive. It seems eerily similar to me. With a trip out west, not as far west as it was last year to, Arizona, where we played the 49ers last year, but tripped out west to Dallas. Shit, still west, right? A little south, but still west. Waiting on us on a short week. Seems very similar. We'll see what happens. But I'm rooting for the Bears tonight to beat the Minnesota Vikings, who are 6-7. If the Vikings win, so be it. The Vikings still have a tough schedule. I think they still have the Rams and teams like that left on their schedule. They still got a tough go of it. They got the Packers. I know that for sure. Now, I don't see them sweeping the Packers. They already beat the Packers once. I don't see them beating. And with the Packers having everything to play for now because they're trying to hold on to that number 1 seed, just don't see the Green Bay Packers allowing the Minnesota Vikings to come to Green Bay and beat them and sweep them this season. So while I'm not worried about the Vikings, I'd like them to lose. Let's see what the Bears do. And then, obviously, we need to take care of business. We got the Eagles. Everything you want. I said this last week going into the Cowboys game. Everything you want is in front of you. You control the outcome of your season if you just win. The Eagles are right there fighting for a playoff spot. Well, guess what? We control what the Eagles do by us taking care of business by just beating them. We play them twice here in the next 3 weeks. You want to take the Eagles out of playoff contention, we can do it ourselves. We don't have to ask anybody else to do it. We don't have to ask Dallas to do it in week 17. We don't have to ask any other team on their schedule to do us a favor. We can do it ourselves. It's not going to be easy, as I mentioned already. And it's looking very improbable right now, adding Brandon Sheriff to the list of guys not playing. But that's why they play the game. And speaking of which, let's go behind enemy lines and get to our keys to victory versus the Philadelphia Eagles. So, as I always like to do, start with the Washington offense versus the opposing team's defense, in this case, the Philadelphia Eagles defense. And the first thing that we have to do to win this game is run it, and run it again. All right. To me, this is a Chris Brown game. If your man's on the floor, see if you can run it. We got to run it and run it and run it again. And I know the Eagles are pretty stout up front. I don't give a shit. This is one of those games where we got to find a way to impose our will on the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's gotten a lot harder with Brandon Sheriff being out. That's a massive blow to wanting to run the football consistently. That said, we're going to have to find a way to run the football. We cannot. I don't know who's going to be at quarterback, but we can't be dropping back 38 times and relying on whomever, whether that's Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, whomever. Those guys haven't practiced. And even though they don't need as much practice time, it doesn't matter. We can't be relying on whomever is under center to throw it 30 plus times. This has to be a game where we are able to manage things with the ground game. Speaking of which, the next key to the victory, win time of possession by at least 7 minutes. We have to control the pace of this game. We have to control the possessions. We don't want a high number of possessions in this football game. That speaks to more opportunities for Philadelphia to score. We don't want a whole bunch of chances to score. Like, obviously we want the football, but we want to limit the amount of possessions for each team. We want to control the clock because we can't beat the Eagles in a shootout. If this score is 27, to 24, we lose. We're not scoring 27 points. If this score is 30 to 27, we're not scoring 30 points. If the Eagles aren't kept under 20 to 20 or less, we could score 23. That's as high as we can go. And that's pushing it. If the Eagles score more than 20, I don't see us winning this football game. We have to keep the Eagles down in the scoreboard department. The best and fastest and most efficient way to do that is to win time of possession. Doesn't necessarily have to be running the football. It could be short completions. It could be, just continuing to get into third and manageables and converting. But we have to win. However we do it, I don't give a shit how it's done. We have to win time of possession, and it needs to be by at least 7 minutes or more in this football game to have a chance to win. The next key to the game offensively is we need at least 2 big plays. And I think it is paramount this week because in games like this, where you're probably not going to score a lot of points and you're trying to keep the possessions down. And when I say big plays, I'm not talking about a 76-yarder, I'm talking about a 30-yard chunk play, When you're not scoring a bunch of points, you need 1 or 2 really big chunk plays like we had against the Raiders. We threw a corner route to Logan Thomas and he catches and rumbles down the sidelines. Look, we weren't matriculating the ball down the field in that game. We didn't have great success on, third downs in that game against the Raiders. So you needed 1 or 2 big plays to really help you out. And I don't care if it's, a shot you take down the field and you get a pass interference penalty thrown and it's a 42-yard gain. Great. I don't care if it's a screen that we throw and we're able to pop it loose for 38. I don't care if it's a run for 31. I don't care if it's a Terry McLaurin slant and they miss a tackle and Terry's off to the races for 48 yards. I don't care how it comes. We just need, because I can't see us sustaining offense consistently throughout the night. So if we have 3, 4 impactful drives, great. That eat up clock, awesome. But in order to score, we're going to need 1 or 2 explosive plays that jumpstart a drive or that cap off a drive or that put us in scoring position to give us a chance. The next key to the game offensively, protect whomever is under center and the ball. We did not do a good job of this last week against Dallas. It is paramount that whomever is under center is protected, whether it's Garrett Gilbert, it's Kyle Allen, or it's Kyle Shermer. It doesn't matter who's under center. That guy can't be under siege like our quarterbacks were a week ago. I mean, honestly, if you want to know why we didn't win the game, you can start and end right there. Everything else is pretty much a moot point. They destroyed us up front, did the Cowboys. And we had no answers for their pass rush, and it destroyed everything that we wanted to do. And it bled over into our run game, which was non-existent. And so we couldn't do anything in the trenches last week. That can't be the case in this game. And if you get hit, you can't fumble the ball like Taylor Heineke did last week, like Kyle Allen did last week. If you turn it over like we did last week, we're going to lose like we did last week. We have to protect the quarterback, whomever it is. And there are ways to do that. Scott Turner, I hope you're listening because you didn't do a good enough job of protecting the quarterback last week. There are ways to defeat a dominant pass rush, a team that's being hyper aggressive in the blitz game. One batted ball and interception shouldn't derail you from trying to hurt a team with screens and the quick passing game. We have to find ways to neutralize the Eagles' rush, and we have to hold on to the football. Cannot turn it over in this game. No margin for error in this game. Zero. Then lastly, Washington's offense has to leave no points on the field. Not a single one. Can't have a missed extra point. Can't have a missed field goal. Can't have a fourth down that you go for where you're already in scoring position and you failed to pick it up and now it's a turnover on downs. If you do that and you're at the Eagles 41-yard line and you weren't in field goal position, fine. And they get to stop. Okay, whatever. Cool. But if you go for it on the Eagles 11-yard line, 4th and inches, and you don't get it, and you were in chip shot field goal range for a 29-yard field goal and you bypass that, that's going to cause us to lose this game. And I don't know where Ron's head is. I don't know how the game is going to go. And Ron's usually got a really good feel for the flow and rhythm of a game and whether he should or shouldn't go for it. Like, he's not one of these analytics-based guys. The numbers say we should go for it here, so let's go for it. Now, he's usually got a good pulse on how things are going and whether he should take the points or not. But this is one of those games where if it's there, and look, if we're having success and we're moving the Eagles off the ball and you feel like we can move them off the ball and get an inch or a yard, so be it. Do it. But if we're getting dominated up front and we haven't had success running, it's 4th and 1. Kick the field goal. Take the points. Do not leave any points out on the field. If we do that, we're going to lose this game. You then transition over to Washington's defense versus the Philadelphia offense. And I feel like this is a lot more simplistic. It's really simple, but it can become really hard because of some of the players they have, most notably Jalen Hurts. While I don't think he's a great passer of the football, his legs are definitely problematic. And they were a problem for us last year when we had both a healthy Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Now we have one of those guys available. It could become very problematic with less athleticism on the field. So he presents a hell of a challenge in his ability to run, does Jalen Hurts. But that's where we start. The first key to the game defensively is contain the Eagles' run game. But more specifically, Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. Those two form a two-headed monster that can really gut you if you're not careful. Sanders has the ability at any point to touch it and take it the distance. You could have him bottled up for 3.5 quarters, and then you make one mistake and he's out of the gate for 88. And just like that, he turns the game on its head. He's got that ability. I've seen him do it before. We can't allow that to happen. We've got to keep him under wraps. And we've got to keep Jalen Hurts under wraps. This is a guy that we've seen. Again, he killed us last year. When we played them in Week 17, the only reason the Eagles were even in that game, even though he was putrid as a passer in that game, was because of Jalen Hurts' legs. He was killing us on third downs and in the red zone. And so if we want to win this game, we have to contain Jalen Hurts, the runner. Make Jalen Hurts, the passer, beat us. And if he does, you tip your cap and you say, hey, you earned that. All right? But if we let Jalen Hurts, the runner, get us, then we deserve to lose the football game. We have to contain the Eagles' rushing attack. Much like us, they've been winning games not because of what they've done through the air, but because of what they've done on the ground. They've been a much more consistent rushing team. They've been effective and efficient, and that's led to them controlling the game and staying out of harm's way with turnovers. Hurts had a 3-interception game against the Giants. Why? Because they couldn't run the football. So they had to resort to the air, and he kept making mistakes. If we make him throw the football, I like our chances. Speaking of making him throw the football, the next key to the game is to keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket. I mean, I can't stress this enough. Rush lane integrity will be at its highest this season against Hurts. We've played mobile quarterbacks in the past. Last year specifically, we had all the mobiles on our schedule last year, in Murray and Jackson and all of those guys on the schedule last year. This year, not so much. But, you know, obviously we've had guys, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers got us for a touchdown when we didn't keep, you know, pocket integrity. And so we've had some guys that have been mobile that have hurt us with their legs this season. Mahomes got us a couple of times in the Chiefs game. Jameis Winston got us a couple of times in the Saints game early on in the season. Josh Allen got us a couple of times in the Bills game earlier this season. So we know that exists. You know, guys with wheels can hurt you if you don't have pocket integrity. Cam Newton was a great example of us playing with pocket integrity, rush lane integrity, and not allowing him to get outside. So that's going to be a huge point of emphasis. But, you know, you always have to keep an eye on Hurts because it doesn't always mean him getting outside to extend. He also is a guy that can threaten the A-gap. You start running twists and stunts, the middle of the football field opens up. He'll take off and run on a 3rd and 8 and get 12. Like, we have to be very mindful of where he is. Got to keep him in the pocket. We keep him in the pocket, I like our chances. He starts getting outside of the pocket, looking to extend plays, looking to use his legs. That's when we'll find ourselves in trouble. Limit explosives in the pass game. Really, really explosive in any form or fashion. You know, run game, pass game, really doesn't matter. We need to limit explosive plays by the Philadelphia Eagles. Similar to what I said, is, you know, we need explosives. They do too. They're a team that they're not consistent enough to go on 13, 14 play drives without having something go awry. You know, we're the same way. You know, we'll be having a great drive going and then there's a holding penalty or there's a false start or, you know, you get into a 3rd and 1 and we don't convert. Like, you want to put yourself in a position where it's a 2-play drive and you're already in plus territory because you've gotten a 37-yard gain. We don't want them to be able to do that. Make them earn everything that they get. The more you give them opportunities to snap the ball, the more likely it is Jalen Hurts is going to do something frivolous with the football. That's what we want. We want a turnover. We want an opportunity for a turnover. If you give them quick stripe opportunities or you give up explosive plays, you take those opportunities away from yourself. You make it easier on that Eagles offense to amass points, and we can't get into a shootout with them. Have to limit explosives in this game. 3rd down D. It's instrumental. It's important. It's what has been the lifeline of this defense during this turnaround. It has been 3rd down defense. Our ability to get off the field on 3rd downs. Yeah, we've produced some turnovers, but the turnovers haven't really been the difference maker. We haven't produced a ton of turnovers, right? It's been the 3rd down defense. The ability to get off the field on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. That's what's really given us an opportunity. And the Eagles are one of those teams, they'll go for it on 4th down if they need to as well. Bottom line is, we got to find a way to get off the field on 3rd downs if we want to win this football game. The Eagles can't consistently be in 3rd and 3 and 2 and 1. We got to have the Eagles in 3rd and 5 and 6 and 7, 8, 9, and 10, and give yourself a chance to get off the field. Force Jalen Hurts to be a passer, not a runner. In 3rd and 3, they can run read option. He can keep it and get 4 yards. He can keep it and get 17 yards. We need to make sure that they're in 3rd and long, and that kind of a run play isn't even on the table. He's got to drop back and throw it. And so I think it is important that our 3rd down defense is spectacular in this game. 2 of 10 is what we're aiming for. You know, 3 of 14 is what we're shooting for in this game. You're hoping they don't even have that many 3rd down opportunities. You want to limit them to, you know, 8 or 9 in this game. That means we killed it time of possession wise. That said, we need to win on 3rd downs defensively. And then finally, force at least 1 turnover. He's good for it, man. Jalen Hurts is good for it. But he's not going to give it to us. We got to take it. That's why they call them takeaways. All right? We got to take it away. You know, they're giveaways and then they're takeaways. I'll take either. Okay? I'll take, if they want to give it to us, we'll take it. But I'm trying to take it away. We don't want to give it to them, right? That's why they call turnovers takeaways. We need to take it away from Jalen Hurts. And whether that's him as a runner being loosey-goosey with the football and you poke it free, or he's dropping back as a passer and he's not reading the defense well and he doesn't see an underneath defender and you pick him off that way, or he throws something into a tight space and it's able to be deflected and somebody's Johnny on the spot. I really don't care how it happens. We just need it to happen. So we need to force at least 1 turnover. You know, we were able to do it last week against Dallas, and that gave us a fighting chance in a game that we shouldn't have been in. But the reason we were in that game is because the defense stepped up and they forced a couple of turnovers. We need to do the same thing in this game to give us a chance. And even if we don't force a turnover, if we just consistently get off the field on third downs, we're going to have a shot to win the football game. So those are my keys to the game. And here is my final outcome. So this goes against everything I stand for, because I'm a guy that doesn't make decisions with my heart, always my head. I've learned over the years, you never go right making irrational picks with your heart instead of your head. You know, your head will never lead you astray. Your heart will always betray you. That's not what I'm doing here. Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm going with the conventional wisdom of the NFL is unpredictable, and what you think you know, you have no idea. Like we thought the Detroit Lions were going to get run out of the building yesterday against the Arizona Cardinals, and instead the Cardinals got a rude awakening. What we thought was that the New Orleans Saints were going to show up on Sunday night to a Buccaneers team that hadn't lost a home game all season and get stomped. What we got was the Saints going to Tampa Bay and blanking the defending Super Bowl champions, handing Tom Brady his first shutout loss since like 2006, and, you know, really making us question where this Buccaneers team truly is in their pursuit of going back to back. I could go on and on. You know, what we thought the Miami Dolphins was going to do against the Baltimore Ravens on a Thursday night. You know, what we thought. And I can just keep going down the list of things we thought were going to happen. You know, well, we thought the Jets were going to lay down for the Cincinnati Bengals with Mike White at quarterback. We thought the Pittsburgh Steelers weren't going to be able to score enough points to beat anybody like the Tennessee Titans. Well, they won. Everything points to us losing this game. Everything says, you got no chance. That's what you got. You got no chance. The Eagles have been waiting for this game for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks now. They're fully healthy. They're well rested. They're licking their chops at a team decimated by injuries, by COVID-19 list, guys being out, with a group that doesn't have a starting quarterback at the current moment. That could change. It could not change. We're more likely going to lose this game, especially if we don't get a quarterback back before the game. And we got to roll out with one of these dudes we've been practicing with for the last few days. More likely than not, we're going to lose this game. But conventional wisdom says that you think you know, but you have no idea in this NFL thing. And I'm hoping, I'm wishing, I'm praying that we think we know. But the football gods say you have no idea. And we show up, we show out, and we somehow improbably come out with a 20 to 16 victory over the Philadelphia Eagles. That's my score. My more is that we take that field. It's a 17 to 16 lead late in the ball game. We're up by 1. We go on a mini drive. It doesn't bleed out the entire clock, but what it does is it puts us in a position to extend the lead out to 4. Brian Johnson comes onto the field, bangs it home from 33 yards out. We would have liked to have gotten one more first down, ended the game. We couldn't do it. Eagles get the football back with 1 minute and 31 seconds left. No timeouts. They have to go the length of the field. And they put together a semblance of a drive, but it stalls out right around the 40-yard line, the Washington 40-yard line. As time expires and Washington holds on, they throw a Hail Mary. It's incomplete. As we've seen so many times with this team, whether it's the Falcons game or it's the Raiders game, Hail Mary at the end, incomplete. Washington holds on 20 to 16 in an improbable on-the-road victory against all odds to keep their playoff hopes alive. That's my story. I'm sticking to it until I am horribly wrong on Tuesday night. But that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We shouldn't win this game. We have no business. I wouldn't be shocked if at the end of this game, it's 30-7. And we get our asses run out of the building. That's what should happen. But what actually will happen, I think, is something totally different. We'll see. I could just be in la-la land, hoping for the best for my team and ignoring all of the warning signs. That could be happening too. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. Your man Louie T here on Washington Football Nightly. I can't wait to hear from you guys. Score and more. Leave it down in the comment section. What do you think is going to happen? Again, we're not supposed to win this game. I expect most of you to expect a loss. Don't be like me and start making up cockamamie schemes as to how we're going to win. Keep it a buck. I'm keeping it a buck because I truly do believe the football gods somehow, some way are going to balance the scales. They usually do in these situations. But again, if the Eagles just take care of business, this game shouldn't be close. But that just goes to show you, I don't respect the Eagles' ability to just take care of business. Nothing that the Eagles have done this year. The reason they're 6-7 just like us is because they stink just like us. Okay? So, and to me, I think we're better. Obviously, we've beaten better opponents than they have. And not many. A lot of the opponents that they've beaten, you know, they're right there. They'll say, well, you beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We beat Denver Broncos. Okay, whatever. The bottom line is, you know, we both beat Atlanta. We both beat there's another team in there somewhere that we both beat. Carolina, that's the team I was trying to think of. You know, we have a lot of the same wins under our belt. They beat New Orleans, we didn't, but we didn't get the Taysom Hill or shit. They didn't even get Taysom Hill. They got shit, I can't even remember his name. He stinks though. They got that guy. Anyway, I digress. Bottom line is, if they take care of business, we shouldn't be jovial at 10 o'clock on Tuesday night. But if the football gods intervene, I think there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance? Yes, I am. In any event, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington football team. I can tell you right now, the score that I just gave you is more so assuming we get a Kyle Allen back. If we roll out Garrett Gilbert, we'll still have a shot. But if we roll out one of these other quarterbacks, Garrett Gilbert, Kyle Shermer, it's more likely Eagles, 26, Washington 6. That's what it more likely is. We get Kyle Allen back, the score I gave you, I think, sticks. But I'm not putting any kind of, restriction on my pick. If this quarterback is here, then this is the score. No, that's what the score is going to be, 20-16, no matter who's that quarterback. But the likelihood is, if it's not Kyle Allen, the likelihood is the Eagles win this game, and it's not close. I just can't see a sustaining, consistent offense with any of those other three quarterbacks, especially when the Eagles know we have to run the football. But that's why they play the game. Until next time, you guys leave it down in the comment section along with a sub and a like. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.